from the north, in from the east, and also up from the south. Analysts believe that the ultimate goal is to try to essentially trap Ukrainian forces in this pocket in the Donbass area. But it is important to emphasize that Ukrainian forces have been putting up a very tough fight. And if you look at what happened in the offensive, the failed offensive to try to take Kyiv, you can be sure that this is going to take quite some time. It may not even be achievable. We've heard U.S. official Secretary of State Antony Blinken saying today that he believes this war could grind on throughout the rest of this year. And of course, that means that things could get very ugly. People here looking to the southeastern port city of Mariupol, which has been the target of just relentless bombardment, a huge amount of civilian casualties here, and they fear that that's a harbinger of what may be to come here in the eastern part of Ukraine, Jim.
All right, Clarissa Ward, thank you very much for that report. Let's get an update from our chief White House correspondent, Caitlin Collins. Caitlin, Russia is warning the White House there could be unpredictable consequences if the U.S. continues shipping weapons to Ukraine. What more are you hearing over there?
Yeah, Jim, this is a notice that Russia sent to the United States on Tuesday. And if you're wondering how the Biden White House is taking it, we should note that by about 10 a.m. tomorrow, we do expect the first shipment from that latest aid package of military assistance to make its way into Ukraine. And that is, of course, that package, you remember, that is much more sophisticated, much heavier duty than some of the previous military packages we've seen being sent from the United States into Ukraine. It's a package that President Biden announced on Wednesday, so one day after Russia had sent this notice. So clearly, the United States is not heeding that warning from Russia all too much, not too worried about it, though I do think there are some concerns privately about whether or not this notice from Russia means that they are now going to try to target these shipments of aid that are making their way into Ukraine, because so far we've heard from the Pentagon that they have not been interrupted or disrupted the flow of that aid. It's been a little more difficult to get it into Ukraine since the invasion started, because previously they were able to just fly it in on U.S. military planes. That is not the case now. And so that is going to be a big question, whether or not Russia tries to target these shipments. But what one U.S. official told us based on this notice from Russia telling the United States to stop arming Ukraine is they believe it shows how effective these shipments of weapons to Ukraine have truly been, Jim.
Oh, they've made a huge difference. And Caitlin, I understand President Zelensky recently asked President Biden to designate Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism. What more are you learning about that conversation?
Yeah, that would be a huge move. It's something that Zelensky asked for directly in a call recently that he had with President Biden. It's not clear if it came from that 58-minute call they had this week. They do speak semi-regularly. But it is something that Zelensky asked President Biden to do. In addition to ramping up punishment for Russia, not just sending weapons to Ukraine and sharing intelligence with them, they also want to work to make Russia a pariah. And so if they were to be listed by the United States as a state sponsor of terrorism, it would be quite significant, because they would be joining the ranks of places like North Korea, Cuba, Syria, Iran. And to put Russia on that list would be quite a symbolic statement, but also would have some pretty far-reaching consequences from the United States. But Jim, we should note that what we've heard from sources after we confirmed this reporting by the Washington Post is that it's not clear there was any kind of a firm commitment from President Biden to do so. It is something that we know Secretary of State Blinken has said they would consider all options to punish Russia, but it's not clear they're ready to take this step yet, though even clearly we do know Zelensky is asking for it.
Right. Zelensky wants maximum diplomatic pressure. All right, CNN's Caitlin Collins, thank you. Just ahead, more breaking news. More than 900 dead civilians have been discovered in the Kyiv region since the Russian withdrawal. Ukraine's top prosecutor joins me next here in the Situation Room.